There's this little detail, a single moment within a very specific Pokemon presentation that we find both absolutely beautiful and baffling meaning in, all centered around the mysterious unknown. This presentation was the February 2024 Pokemon Day Pokemon Presents, the first announcement of Pokemon Legends ZA. And at the time, while everyone else was mostly bewildered at what was shown in the trailer, we on the other hand were perplexed about what was shown right before the trailer even began. This random group of unknown that show up and spell out the word, soy-you. And that right there is our little detail, the single moment that we believe perfectly encapsulates the true magic of the Pokemon world. A moment that not only made us realize that the unknown are the perfect symbols for representing gaming mysteries as a whole, but a moment that also revealed to us the purpose and role of the unknown in the Pokemon universe. Let us explain. These unknown actually show up at the very beginning of the presents, positioning themselves into an anagram that, when rearranged, spells out the words Pokemon Presents. Very fitting for a cute little introduction to the rest of the show. But they show up again right before ZA's reveal, and when rearranged this time, they spell out UC, or see you. But then an unknown question comes in at the end, turning these phrases into a question. You see? Or see you? That is, unless the unknown question is not a part of the anagram, in which case the unknown question's presence could be meant to represent a mystery. Like a, wasn't that weird? What's the meaning of that group of unknown? And then the rest of the trailer plays and we get zero answers on what the unknown were about. Our first thought was that, well, maybe we'll see them again in another ZA trailer, but that didn't happen. Okay, well, maybe they'll tie into ZA's story in some way, but the game has released, the DLC has released, and yet still nothing on the unknown. So why did that specific group of unknown appear right before ZA's big reveal? Well, we don't know. But that's what's so great about it, and that's what makes this franchise so special. The fact that we don't know. It's this unknowing that's kept us curious and lore-hungry every time we saw new trailers and promotional materials for ZA. And that's the beauty, the magic, the mystery that makes Pokemon so fun. This creates a want for the fans to speculate and theorize about every little detail because we all believe that it may lead to some mind-blowing answers. It creates a culture of theorists and lore enthusiasts that come together to try and solve the Pokemon puzzle. And this is a vital step into creating an interesting video game world. Pokemon has always been chock full of mysteries and unsolved questions that have kept the community scratching their heads for years. And Game Freak knows this. They could easily just come out one day and confirm our suspicions. They could just tell us exactly what the nameless Pokemon were before they were reborn as the legendary Sacred Beasts trio. They could just reveal where Ash's dad is. But they don't. Instead, they keep us guessing. But you might be asking, why is this a good thing? Don't we want to be satisfied with the clear lore and even clearer clues on understanding that lore? Well, we would argue, no. This is what gives video games that extra pizzazz, that sense of wonder. It's what separates games like Grand Theft Auto and Cuphead with games like Halo and Undertale. Obviously, all these franchises are amazing, but the former are straightforward, easy to follow, while the latter keeps you engaged and asking questions even after putting the game down. Fans of these types of franchises get to develop their own stories, theories, and interpretations on what they believe these questions could lead to. This is the reason why franchises like Five Nights at Freddy's have lasted so long. Scott Cawthon and Steel Wool won't answer every question we ask, because, like Game Freak, they know it would ruin the point. The point is to speculate on the lore and to connect with fellow fans, which, in turn, creates a more engaged and passionate community. And it doesn't matter whose theories and interpretations are right and whose are wrong. What matters is that we all have fun sharing them and that it gets us to connect with these games. And yes, we know that not every game needs crazy, super in-depth lore to be engaging or popular. We're just saying that lore adds a unique layer of fun to a game franchise. By giving the players loose ends and vague clues, you give them a tantalizing mystery. You let them experience that magic of world building. And Game Freak does this with Pokemon in strides. Every time we see a new legendary and mythical Pokemon, every time they reveal a new region, every time we get a new gimmick added to the game, Game Freak always adds an element of strangeness to them, and they keep the details behind them open-ended, without ever giving concrete answers. And that's perfectly fine. If we knew the answers, then there'd be no point in discussing them. No point in going back into a region and exploring every corner of it just to try and solve the mysteries that lie within. Not knowing the truth is one of the major reasons that makes this franchise so special. That is why this single moment perfectly encapsulates the true magic of the Pokemon world. Because we don't know what it truly means. So, we all get to have fun speculating about it. But why do the unknown make for the perfect representations for mysteries in gaming as a whole? And in the Pokemon universe, what is the purpose and role of the unknown? Well, just think of all the mysteries that the general Pokemon community always discusses. The pre-existence of the original dragon, the existence of Ultra Megalopolis and other worlds throughout all of Ultra Space, the origin of Mega Evolution, the obscurity of the Darkest Day and Genesis of Eternatus, the mystery of the Ghost Girl from X and Y, the ruinous treasures from Scarlet and Violet, the whereabouts of Rainbow Rocket's Giovanni, the whereabouts of Cyborg Sada or Turo at the end of Scarlet and Violet, the time period where Celebi comes from, that weird eyeball thing at the center of Jirachi's tum-tum, the guy behind the ball, why none of these are fairy types but all of these are, why Emma from Legend ZA is so pretty. And out of all these mysteries and the ones we didn't mention, tell us in the comments what your favorite Pokemon mystery is. Anywho, out of all these great mysteries in the Pokemon world, the one that stands at the pinnacle of incomprehensibility is the enigma of the unknown. Their entire concept revolves around being their namesake, unknown. They are, by definition, the most mysterious Pokemon we've ever had. They are, by design, the weirdest Pokemon ever made. They're literally just Latin alphabet letters stylized to look fancy with giant eyeballs. Just look at the unknown Pokedex entries. They are the most uninformative dex entries ever made. Every entry boils down to a few points of key information. The unknown are shaped like letters. The unknown are psychic types. The unknown are weird. These entries are not the results of records compiled by scientists, archaeologists, and biologists for thousands upon thousands of years. These are surface-level thoughts that even a kid would know at their very first glance. Their names aren't even correct. The word unknown is spelled with a K, but their name isn't. Their own name leaves you with a question, a mystery that will never have an answer. That's exactly why Pokemon is unique. Because out of every gaming franchise on the planet that have mind-boggling mysteries, like Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy, Legend of Zelda, Sonic, Poppy Playtime, Call of Duty Zombies, Fortnite, Elden Ring, Genshin Impact, and so many more, Pokemon is unique because it harbors creatures that are the physical embodiments of the concept of mystery, the unknown. And what's so beautifully ludicrous is that out of every unknown question mark is undeniably the most mysterious Pokemon ever made, as it's not only a part of the most mysterious group of Pokemon ever made, but its literal physical form is shaped like a question mark. A creature put into this franchise solely to keep us asking questions. That is why we believe the unknown are the perfect symbols for representing gaming mysteries as a whole. Because the unknown are just that, the concept of the unknown, a concept that will never have a definitive answer given to it. And that is awesome. Sure, the unknown showing up amidst the premiere of Legend ZA's reveal and spelling out soy, you, cu, or UC is just a little detail, a micro moment that many have forgotten about. But it's a detail, a moment that we find beautifully baffling meaning in, as it highlights the very role, the very purpose of the unknown in the Pokemon universe. And that purpose is... well, we don't know.
So I don't need to know